It's Monday, and you know what that means? It's IndyCar night in America. Normally, it's Indianapolis who's always in the shadow of Chicago. Indianapolis lacks the long-standing Major League traditions of the Bears, the Cubs, the White Sox, the Bulls, the Blackhawks. Even though Indianapolis Colts beat the Bears at 29-17 in Super Bowl 41, Indianapolis is still considered a small Midwestern town compared to the big high-rise skyline of the South Shore. However, when it comes to racing, the roles are quite reversed. Going back as far as 1914, an IndyCar racing tradition is attempted to grow in the Windy City, but a tree has borne little fruit. Downstate, USAC found success at Springfield and DuQuoin, while upstate, AAA and CART found no success at Galesburg, Speedway Park, or Cicero, with each holding no more than 4 sanctioned races before closing their gates and falling victim to the bulldozer. Hope once again sprung eternal in 2001 as the Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet opened up as a state-of-the-art 1.5-mile superspeedway that would provide a nearby racing venue for the then burgeoning Indy Racing League and as another stop for NASCAR as it continued its expansion northward. With Joey and Jake and Elwood's Race from the Police arguably the most famous Chicago area race, IndyCar sure tried to top that from 2001 to 2010. In that period, Chicagoland played host to 4 of the 10 closest finishes in IndyCar history. In 2021, the future is uncertain for this track with no NASCAR date and no real interest for IndyCar to return. Is yet another Chicago area track destined for the bulldozer? Once again, thanks for iRacing's simulation technology, the track, regardless of its future, will continue to live on, answering the question, what if IndyCar returned? Hello, everybody. I am Gary Gatto, and we will find an answer to this question tonight. Welcome to Race First coverage of Round 5 of the Monday Night Indy Split, coming to you from Chicagoland Speedway. Joining me for expert analysis in the booth from the NHR eSports team in the Lionheart IndyCar Series, once again, is Stephen Larkamp.
I'm glad to be joining you guys all tonight. And as we mentioned before, Chicagoland Speedway does have quite a notable reputation for producing close racing and close finishes. Hopefully we will see more of that tonight in this rather poignant moment in the history of racing in the state of Illinois, where unfortunately, as mentioned before, the future of the speedway in real life is sadly in doubt. But here, we're kind of having a bit of a homage to the old times and seeing in what a race here at Chicagoland with the Dallara IR18 would look like. And looking to me, like, again, as we usually see in the iRacing IndyCar Fixed Series, it's going to be a very fun showing indeed. Very close races, and hopefully a close finish.
Despite IndyCar not being here for about 10 years, open wheelers have a firm hold on the track record. Set in qualifying in 2003 for the Delphi Indy 300, fellow Lionheart Retro Series driver Richie Hearn turned the lap of 223.159 miles per hour. Compare that to NASCAR driver Joey Logano's 189.414 set in 2013. IndyCar holds an incredible 33 miles per hour speed advantage over the Cup taxi cabs. The turns are banked at 18, the front straight is 11, the unique curved back straight is at 5. It's fast, it's smooth, has multiple racing grooves. Stand by in the garage area, it's time to go racing, and with that, we are just about a minute away from looking at tonight's starting lineup from Chicagoland. Currently provisionally on the pole is Pablo Diaz-Francis with a 220.517, so about 3 miles per hour slower than the old days. Demerit, Prequel, Sudik, and LDR are also up there in the 220 bracket. Actually, the top 9 are all in the 220 bracket. 10th down starts the 219 bracket. Most everyone is pretty tightly close packed together. We will see. Probably going to be another good example of a very close qualifying cross section as it was last week at at Charlotte, where if you were a 10th off, you were starting like 20th.
And it's very much looking to be the case as well tonight. Pablo Diaz-Francis on provisional pole at the moment as qualifying is wrapping up, so he will maintain that pole position in that number 2 machine. 29.954 seconds. If he was 1/10 slower, he would be down in 16th position down there with Nick Nebben with a 25.058. That really goes to show how close this field is, how close it can be. with the fixed setups we have here tonight. Great pole position for the winner on last Monday's broadcast, Pablo Diaz-Francis, earned on the pole tonight.
Let's take a look at the starting lineup for tonight's race. On the pole is Pablo Diaz-Francis with a time of 24.954. P2 is Christopher Demeritte at a 24.971. Guillermo Prequel, P3 at a 24.972. Nicholas Sudik, my pal from the VOR series, P4 at a 24.978. Nacho LDR, regular here on the top split, 24.986 in P5. And Bruno Miranda in P6. Moving on.
Thomas Geisler.
You got it? Go ahead. Go ahead. You got it, man.
I suppose I can. Thomas Geisler rolls off position number 7 in that 13 machine alongside Lionheart regular AJ Musselman rolling off P8. 9th position will be Gabriel Amer in the 22 alongside the number 10 of Victor M. Santos. In 11th position, Adriano Fraporti in the number 7 machine alongside the number 8 of Tony Pizarro. 13th will be Dakota DeMag in the 12 alongside the 18 of Carlos Ruiz. In his 15th position, Gonzalo Rodriguez Leon in the number 14 machine alongside the number 9 of Nick Nebben. Stephen Lee in the number 19 machine will start 17th alongside the 21 of CP Allen. Rolling out the top 20. The 16 car of Christian Assan will be 19th alongside Daniel Rafero in the 25. The 17 machine of Jim Wallen and the 11 of Matthew Mercer make up a row number 11 along and behind them Trey Shadid in the number actually according to the timing sheets, it will be Carlos Washington in the number 23 starting in the 23rd position alongside Claude Lassard, and shotgun on the field will be the number 5 of Trey Shadid. As we roll off for one pace lap, and then we're underway for 75 laps of Chicagoland Speedway.
We're pretty much looking at the window to open for pit stops right around lap 24-25, as we have seen in the previous mile-and-a-half ovals. What is the current track temperature, and how will you think that will impact today's race?
Currently looking at a track temperature of 91 degrees Fahrenheit. We are under partly cloudy skies, 78 degrees Fahrenheit. But 91 degrees track temp, it is a little bit cooler than many people would expect for starting in the midday. So that may well have a noticeable impact on how closely everyone will be packed together and how long the tires will last and maintain their pace. So we might be in for a good long running of it, with everyone running up close and personal with each other at speeds touching well over 220 miles an hour.
Oh boy, we're going to go pack racing, folks, for a little bit. We'll see. Wheel-to-wheel action, just like the old Indy Racing League days. When we got a blinker in the lineup there, too. Let's hope that stabilizes. We're getting ready to go green. The pace car is off. Green flag in the air. We are racing here at Chicagoland.
Good start by Pablo Diaz-Francis. Gets a big jump over Demeritte as they cross the start-finish line for the first time. Demeritte tucking in right behind as everyone's looking to get into an order of themselves. Sudik there flipping into 4th place. Last car in the line there as we start to get a little single file going into turn number 3.
Battle for the lead coming in 3 and 4 on the top side. Demeritte.
Here we come. Demeritte looking to the outside line, which is a lot of drivers really like doing that there. But no, Pablo Diaz-Francis does lead that first lap by 1/1000th of a second. I'm hoping that's something we can get used to tonight, folks.
Look at Bruno Miranda right next to Nicholas Sudik there. He is catching the draft right now, or at least caught the draft momentarily of Demeritte when he went up high, and it was just pulling him right along. There we see Pablo Diaz-Francis going right down to the apron. That is actually inbounds. Some leagues actually have a gentleman's agreement where they won't use the apron. Here it is open and available. They used it during qualifying, and they will use it during the race. I wouldn't use it late in a run because you will unload the car. But currently right now with these sticky tires and early in the race, hitting down to the apron's not too bad.
Yeah, very much so. You got to be careful when you go down there, though. Even on fresh tires, it's easy to get caught out there. I've seen a bunch of guys in NASCAR competition make that same error as well as in IndyCar. So if you are going to make that move, you can make it work. You just got to be sure of what you got underneath you. as now we have a change for third position. Miranda now up to third place, tucking in right behind Demerit and Francis.
He's thinking about maybe taking a 3 wide going into turn 3.
Here we go. He is looking to make it 3 wide. Not quite there yet, but I wouldn't discount him for the next couple of laps. And now he's looking to make it work.
It is a bit early to be taking it a 3 wide, don't you think?
I would agree completely. At this point, especially if you're in the top 3 right now, you just want to settle in, get yourself a rhythm, and maybe, especially if you're not running in the lead, fuel, you never quite know if we are going to get a caution when it comes out, and it could well be you save yourself a little fuel, save you some time on the pit stop, maybe even win you the race in the process. Good to always have that backup option, as once again we're looking to make it, well, again, 2 wide, 2 deep, not quite 3 wide yet, but Guillermo Parcol in the 15 looking to make it 3 wide there on the backstretch for third position.
Yeah, the Mass Devil cars teaming up on everyone else around them. And look who's sneaking in at P6 there.
AJ Musselman looking to make some noise up here. He started 8th. He's running 6th so far, getting this top pack. They have broken away a little bit from the guys behind them, led by Thomas Geisler. So unless those 2 behind can keep it up there, Musselman is looking to have not too much pressure on him for now, but I wouldn't be surprised if they can catch back up to them. This pack is definitely still holding strong, 8 laps deep into this run.
About how long you think the tires will wear off, and we'll start looking at maybe the field starts spreading out. What do you think?
Going off of track temperatures now, it is climbed up a little bit to 92, but we are running in cooler track conditions than we experienced at Charlotte last week. They may be able to hold on a little bit better than at Charlotte. But Chicagoland, depending on the line you run, you gotta be a bit careful where you run. There are still some bumps here, and that may force some drivers to overdrive it a little bit, maybe burn off the tires a little bit more. And especially running in the pack there, you don't quite have the aerodynamic downforce that you might want, even with this pack, as Musselman there, I think, was blinking there for a second. But even with this pack right now, it may be that later on we see them dropping back to single file running, as the tires start to lose it when everyone's done scrapping for the early positions, as it were.
Looks like it looks like the second pack has brought themselves into the fight now, as there's virtually a blanket separating everybody in the top 10.
Classic Chicagoland, Gary. This is what we were seeing well back in the old days with the Indy Racing League. We may see a finish like it too if they could hold out for this long, as we're looking going 3 wide for the lead in turn 3.
I think Miranda was actually thinking about 4 wide at one point right there. He probably thought better of it. But right now we're looking at, currently on your screen is Victor Santos, and he's currently in P6, but he is like less than a second off the lead.
And pretty much the whole of the field running right now are separating, almost the entire field is separated by under 3 seconds of a gap. The only the odd ducks out here is Claude Lassard, who has dropped back well off the pack there.
3 wide in the turn 1, sorry about that.
3 wide once again. But it's still interesting to see that the pack has really stuck for this long. This is definitely not what we were seeing last week at Charlotte. Obviously, the track layout is noticeably different, of course, to the untrained eye, as I hate to say it. It may be that the 1.5 mile tracks like Chicagoland, Charlotte, Kentucky, and the like, they may seem they've gotten the derisive nickname cookie cutters, and for understandable reasons. But this track, they all each have their own individual flavors. This track certainly has a flavor for close racing and open wheelers, and it's proven that here tonight, especially since these guys' tires do seem to be holding up a lot better than they were at Charlotte last week.
Riding on board with Victor Santos in P4, giving you an idea of what it's looking like around him in this, well, let's call it a dogfight right now, because that's kind of what it looks like, as we got a bunch of jet fighters engaged in massive fur ball at the front, where we are 1 through 10 are separated by less than a second right now on the racetrack, and everybody's currently under a complete blanket between those positions.
And I would definitely call the fighter jet analogy to be pretty apt there, as Santos does continue to look to the inside on Bruno Miranda and that number 20 machine, as the leaders still try to go 3 wide. Nacho LDR trying to make something up and work up on the top line. But as close as this all is, a lot of these guys, and as much as they want that track position, I'm sure a lot of them are also thinking that it's good to preserve your equipment, especially this early on in the race, and try to keep, and of course, keep up with the pack as well. If you lose the pack, you're kind of done for in many ways. And one where you actually notice right there is Musselman's actually dropped back a little bit to 10th position, but it's still holding strong with the rest of the pack. He's still within a shot of it.
Yeah, would you say, though, if you don't lose the pack, you really are still in contention the entire time? You can bring yourself up to the front?
Very much so, especially if it's holding up as long as it has there. But now I'm actually seeing, looking at some of the guys back in the pack, it may be that for them the tires are starting to wear a little bit, and as Musselman and Stephen Lee go 2 wide back there for 9th position, some of them may be starting to realize that, hey, I may have overcooked it a little bit, maybe just back it off a little bit, try and preserve my equipment.
Hey, let's do a shout out to P7, Tony Pizarro, up 5 spots to 7th here, started just outside the top 10, well within the top 10, and that Tide themed delivery that he's currently running right there, working the high side. A lot of cars have started to move up there.
Yeah, and that seems to be what drivers do when you are dealing with tire wear. They do tend to run that higher line. It puts a little less load on the tires, gives them a little bit of a wider angle to work with, so you're not putting as much wheel into the car as you would before. And with a lot of guys trying to make that low line work still, you're not getting as much aero wash over the front of the car as you would otherwise. So that's another factor in helping to preserve tires.
Does it almost like it kind of launches you down the backstretch too, because you have all that momentum built up that you're able to use that as a bit of a slingshot on top of a slingshot, so to speak, where you're running the outside, you don't have to turn the wheel as much, and you're not scrubbing off as much speed or pinching the car down as much.
And you look at it historically, whoa, as Victor Santos runs really close up there to Bruno Miranda, but they managed to gather it up there. But as I was saying, that is very much true. That high line can give you a good launch off the corner. And in fact, you look at the closest finishes here at Chicagoland Speedway, and a lot of the closest finishes in IndyCar history, the winner is usually the guy on the high line, as counterintuitive as it may sound, because they are getting that launch coming off of turn number 4, coming towards the line.
Yeah, you would have think Scott Dixon would have learned that. Scott Dixon has been the victim of 3 of those 4 closest races in IndyCar history here. The other one, of course, is the closest, and that's Sam Hornish and Al Unser Jr. And we had a slower Thomas Geisler get involved in the middle and almost got pinched up there on the top side. But he's off the pace for some reason, might have scrubbed the wall, and he's down on speed. Not sure what's going on there, but everyone is trying to make their way around him, and he almost got pinched up into the wall there.
Might be the wall that got him early on there, but he did almost get pinched going 4 wide there. He's currently being scored 6 laps down, so very definitely something went wrong on his end. A big shame for Thomas Geisler, who started off this race very strong indeed. Yeah,
I showed him making at least a real quick pit stop, so he might have started from the pits, I don't know, but yeah, down on speed, and when you don't have the draft, it just makes things a little bit even worse here. But we've pretty much had a Indy caution on the racetrack. Caution on the racetrack. And seeing Nick Neben going slow here. Let's go back in time a little bit and see what possibly happened. The pit window is open, so I think we're going to see everybody stopping here. And we're watching Nick Neben in reverse here. Okay. He kind of bounced off one of the Masked Devils a little bit further in the pack, slid through the turns 1 and 2 grass, recollected it. I don't think he has really real damage on his car. maybe just a little damage to pride and some lost track position, but we're under yellow. He has a chance to go ahead and stop under caution, get some new tires, and catch back up to the pack.
Very much so, and that's actually rather fortunate for him in that regard. It's a shame to see that happen to him, getting that little contact there, but the good news from where he hit the car in front of him, it may only be front wing damage. They can replace that, and it'll only take about 5 seconds added on the pit stop, and he's at the back anyway, so really it's not much of a problem to begin with, as everyone comes down the pit road.
This will take fuel out of the equation for the remainder of this race.
Very definitely. The only concern these drivers will have now will be tires, which I can imagine given the trends there as Demerit.
Oh, Demerit made it real close.
That was very close there, but it is Pablo Diaz-Francis that will maintain that lead.
Yeah, that's the benefit of being the pole positions. The pole sitter gets that #1 spot, and you really don't have to worry about hitting the button to get out of your spot. All you need to do is just apply full pressure to that to that accelerator and shoot right on out. While as the other driver still has to come up to speed a little bit and try to make up that lost ground. So Demerit made a good run of it, but I don't think much has changed here at the top. Your top 5 right now is Francis, Demerit, Nacho LDR, Bruno Miranda, and Victor Santos. As we are now under caution lap 28 of 75 due to a spin back, further back in the pack by Nick Neben as he bounced off one of the, looks like Mass Devil cars. No damage, and he's back underway. So we still have a full complement of 25 cars under power right now here at Chicagoland.
And it looks to me like Geisler is possibly going to get one of his laps back. Yes, he is going to get one of his laps back. He'll need 5 more cautions to get back on the lead lap, sadly. And as chaotic as open server racing can be at times, I don't see that happening here tonight. These guys have been putting on a very good and clean show so far, even with those moments where we thought that going 4 wide may not be the most beneficial to their car's health.
So if you're watching from home, and you're used to watching NASCAR, you've heard the lucky dog. Steven, tell us the difference between the wave around, the IndyCar rule, and the lucky dog. What's the difference, and how are they used differently?
Well, in IndyCar competition, we don't use a lucky dog. So what happens in a lucky dog situation is that the first driver who is 1 lap down at the time of caution, they will get a free pass around all the other cars and pass the pace car to get back on the lead lap or whichever lap you were ahead. We don't do that in the IndyCar series. You have to earn it in a sense. so the reason why Geisler is going to get his lap back here is because he's actually stayed out. He is not pitted under this yellow. So he's gotten ahead of everyone else on the racing surface and only behind the pace car. And once we go 1 lap to green, as we see right now, Geisler is getting waved around the pace car. He will join the field at the rear and essentially getting out of the way of the race leaders when we go back to green. So it's our way it's a way of getting a lap back, but it's not quite as friendly to people who have to make a pit stop as the lucky dog system you see in NASCAR.
Yeah, long and the short of it, the pace car always picks up the leader. The leader always starts the restart in the lead. There used to be back in the older days of IndyCar. Depending on where the pace car picked up the leader and the leader pit, if there was a lap car that decided not to pit, that would be up front, you would actually have a lapped car, or maybe a car down on speed, maybe a rookie wasn't really sure what's going on, bringing the field up to speed at a race, and they really found that kind of as a potentially dangerous situation, and certainly it impacted racing further back in the pack, and you don't want a lap car to do that. So we're getting ready to go green here at lap 30, coming to 31, and we're back underway.
Good launch once again by Francis. Demerit kind of now under pressure from Nacho LDR, but once again we are expecting everyone involved to be back up in that pack now. Everybody's on fresh tires and full of fuel. So I imagine that three wide running, we'll probably see it again in a few seconds, as Demerit, as I say before, he's actually used that draft to great benefit, and he's caught up to the lead. Francis using the apron.
Ooh. That was a bit of a dicey move right there, coming right back up on the onto the racing surface off the flat apron right in front of Demerit there. You saw the back end of Francis's car kind of jump a little bit.
Demerit once again looking to the outside. Not quite going to be getting there yet, but I'd imagine he probably, if we do get a long green flag run, he'd probably want to keep that high line thing going, especially when he doesn't have the aero wash problems behind the rear wing of that number 2 machine. As Nacho LDR been doing the same thing, except even higher up on the racing surface, and he's bringing his teammate Bruno Miranda with him.
Remember, 18 degrees of banking. It's not progressive like at some of the mile-and-a-half ovals. 18 degrees of banking, if you're looking for a comparison. Michigan, that's about your comparison right there. Not quite as wide as Michigan, but still pretty wide, where you can have 3 distinct lines. Michigan, you can sometimes get as many as 5 distinct lines. Let's take you on board Nacho here and give you what it looks to feel like uprighting in that third lane. As you're trying to go 3 wide around this mile-and-a-half racetrack. As you see him right now, pulling off to the outside, out of the draft right now of Demerit, in 6th gear, bringing it into turn 1. Does not have the fastest line around to make sure those revs are high. Goes down the 5th gear. Now he's right behind Demerit, pulls out, gets the draft, pulls out, gets a little bit of a slingshot. Everybody side by side going into turn 3. I'm sure Demerit's hearing his spotter say 3 wide, you're in the middle. I'm sure he does not want to hear that.
As exciting as it may look to the outside, hearing that you're in the middle 3 wide is always a hair-raising experience.
When you see these drivers, you think that they just have their foot down and they're turning left. As you see, they're shifting gears, probably even working the weight jacker and the tools. Probably every lap is a little bit different. As we see here, he's in 5th gear. He's going to shift to 6 right there. He's going to shift again down in 5th, going into turn 1. So it's anything but foot down and turn left here at Chicagoland.
Yeah, once again, as serene as all this may look from the outside perspective of the cars just going fast and turning left while maintaining incredible speeds, just shy of 220 miles an hour going into turn number 3. But it's very much a case where you are working hard with all the tools you have at your disposal to make the car look that way and to hold on to your track position. You're working your gears. There's basically 2 different gears that the drivers use when they are at top speed. 5th gear mainly for running out in clean air, maybe getting as much revs as possible. And 6th gear in the draft and maybe trying to get a run on the driver in front of you for extra speed, but then immediately you shift down to 5th gear once again to maintain your revs and not lose the speed that you had gained.
6th gear, as Bobby Unser called it, the passing gear. Lap 39 to 75, and looking right now on the ticker, last lap by, Francis 217 flat, Demerit 217.1, LDR 217.3, Miranda 217.2, Santos a 217 flat. So the top 5, everyone all within a tenth or so of the same speed.
That really just goes to show how good these guys are. Same setups, of course, we used in this series. Everyone is using the same equipment in a way that's meant to foster an environment where you can jump in the car, turn laps, and not have to worry too much about setup adjustments, because if you were to look at the garage for an IndyCar setup in iRacing, you will see pretty much an entire physics textbook worth of stuff to adjust. So this is a way for a lot of drivers to be able to experience IndyCar and not have to go through an engineering course in order to make the car drive the way you want to. But it also fosters really close and competitive racing, and that's what a lot of these drivers love about this series. It may bring in a lot of fresh faces who aren't used to cars going this fast at times, but when you get up to higher splits like this, it really brings out the best of the best in terms of talent when it comes to going around fast on an oval in an open wheeler.
Making an appearance in the top 10 now, Adriano Forporti, P7. Looks like he's actually teammates up there with Bruno Miranda. I'm not sure what their team name is, but they are obviously identically painted cars, so you got to guess that they're teammates. Also back up there, Tony Pizarro, Guillermo Prequel, and Christian Hassan back in P10 in that all-black car is starting to slowly sneak into the picture. Right behind him, Dakota DeMaid, just kind of riding along the top side. Looks like Hassan is bringing DeMaid right along with him.
Yeah, and big shout out right now to Christian Hassan right now. Started in 19th, currently running 10th, so 9 positions gained so far. Very good showing for him. Hopefully, yeah, he's certainly hoping he can make more of it. And with as close as this field is, I wouldn't be surprised if he can.
What is the current track temperature?
It's still holding steady at 92 degrees Fahrenheit on the racing surface itself. So even though we're in the middle of the afternoon, you'd expect the track temp to be rising steadily. It's actually rather surprising that it stayed as relatively cool as it has.
Yeah, that is very surprising considering the race started at high noon. So that means the sun is directly above the racetrack at the moment. At this point, I don't think we're going to see the track getting much more hotter than it actually is. And I think we're going to see this style of racing all the way to the end.
That certainly bodes well for the audience. It's saying that, hey, maybe we will get one of those famous Chicagoland photo finishes. As once again, people have been trying to make it 3 wide, maybe even 4 wide for the lead for the last few laps. Nacho LDR doing everything he can to make that high line work and bring Bruno Miranda and the number 20 machine, his teammate, up there with him. But they haven't quite been able to break away and almost an incident there in the back of the pack there. They saved it though. Very well done. Dakota DeMaug looked like he almost made contact with one of the cars next to him, but he's managed to gather it up.
Yep, he's still in the draft. He'll be able to work his way back up. But he's back there kind of with an associated teammate, an AJ Musselman. They kind of both race for Team Raceverse in the Lionheart Speedway Series. They are currently back in P18 and 19. They got plenty of time to get in line and catch right back up to that lead pack, who still is not that far out in front of them. Your current leader right now is Pablo Diaz-Francis by a margin of 0.039 over Christopher Demerit and Nacho LDR. Miranda and Santos are definitely making themselves known. Santos 0.22 back from all this battle.
Yeah, and Victor Santos, he's run kind of quiet even though he's been in the top 5 pretty much all race at this point. He's been keeping it steady. Maybe he's probably playing the long game on this one. Not quite getting himself in the kerfuffle in front of him for going 3 wide almost every single lap going into turn number 3. So he's basically waiting for his chance to shine as he's actually being having a look on the outside from Nicholas Sudik there in the 3 and Tony Pizarro in the 8. So this pack doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon. Santos is gonna have to make that car work as long as possible to hold on to the position he's in. I'm sure he's loving it right now.
Yeah, once LDR gets up there, where's he gonna go?
That really is the question. The main option for him is to stay on that top line, hoping it'll carry, and the launch off the turn will carry him around. But that is a very difficult thing to pull off. He's actually seemed to drop back a little bit now. Now he's picked up once again. I thought I saw Miranda get by him, but apparently he did not. As now Santos behind them, once again under pressure from Sudik, and Sudik still has a bit of a gap over Pizarro. So these guys are kind of pretty much holding steady at this point, trying to obviously gain as much advantage as they can, but also trying to put themselves in the best possible position to make a move when the checkered flags is getting near.
Sudik and Santos kind of really have no place to go. They're kind of evaluating what's going on in front of them. They're keeping they're right up there. In fact, if there is some sort of incident that might collect the top 3, they're probably close enough to probably get picked up in that. But there's really, they got to pick their holes here, and there's not very many places to go. As you see, every single lane all the way around the racetrack is taken up by these 3 leaders up front.
Yeah, and that's always, in some ways, it's rather frustrating to be the guy in Santos or Sudik's position because, well, for one, there's the obvious thing that you want to get by these people and take the race lead for yourself. And with all these guys basically running a rolling roadblock in front of you, you can't really do much about it. But another thing is the tires. Once again, even with this pack going, we could see later on in that initial stint that running as close as they have is going to wear these tires a good bit, and it's going to lead to a situation where you don't have as much grip as the leaders. So it's rather frustrating to have those and have that aero wash possibly hurt your chances just by the nature of the beast, as it were, as Sudik drop into the middle of the track, and he has in fact gotten by Victor Santos for position number 5.
Yeah, he's been able to drop down to that bottom lane. Let's give a shout out to Nick Neiman.
Demerit, by the way, he's actually taken the lead.
Let's go back up to the front with Demerit getting around there as he's nosed out up front. He hasn't quite cleared him, but he does have the all-important bottom lane. Something happened to Francis. Francis is now back to
turn number 3. That one in the wall. That is Adriano Fraporti.
Oh, massive wreck.
Actually, coming up
Three-car wreck.
I see at least 5 cars involved in this one. Fraporti is one of them. Guillermo Parcal. Let's see who else we got. 8 looks like 8. Almost thought AJ Musselman was involved in it as well, but it doesn't entirely look like it. I think he just dropped back to avoid the wreck.
Oh, okay. So, who is in that Samsung car? That is Stephen Lee. I'm not sure. He was running slow on the high line. He might have been down on power. Might have had a incident where he was not as fast as everyone. He was up against the wall as close as he could get, and I think the cars behind him were rather surprised on how quickly they came up on him. And they all we got ourselves about a 4 or 5 car calamity right there in turns 3 and 4, as we are back under caution at lap 58 here at Chicagoland. Everyone's into the pits. Well, at least further on backs in the pits. Their leaders looks like 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th is staying out.
So it looks to be that Studik is currently the leader of the drivers that pitted. He's going to have fresh tires. And despite what it looked like there, as I mentioned before, it looked to me like, it does look from the outside like the tires were able to hold up well for a lot of pack racing. But with Demerit, Nacho LDR, Bruno Miranda, Pablo Diaz-Francis, and Victor Santos on older tires, it'll be interesting to see how well fresher tires will be able to provide to the leaders, especially later on in the going, where the tires are on the leaders' cars are pretty much going to be at the end of their lifespan.
Yep, and those guys that just pitted got that last set of tires. They are bingo on freshies, so they are done for the race. There is no other pit stops they can make to make themselves any faster than what they're going to be this time by. Light tanks, new tires. We're going to see how quickly from P6 on back is going to make their way up to the front. Separating, though, Sudik from the leaders and the rest of the cars that did not pit is Thomas Geisler. And I'm pretty sure, though, that Geisler probably will duck out of the way and allow this battle to resume uninhibited. But currently, he is that car a lap down right in front of, multiple laps down, actually, right in front of Nicholas Sudik there in the Taco Bell car. So, it looks like a little bit of back racing, multi-car incidents got us under yellow. I did want to give a shout out to, and right as we were coming the caution, Nick Neben. He brought out the first caution of the day. He is now up to P8. So talk about a pretty good recovery.
Very good recovery for Nick Neben. A very good job from him so far. And I'm sure once that first incident happened, he didn't think he'd be in this position. But the good news there was that he only had wing damage, so he's been playing it smart, been picking up positions when he can, taking advantage of the incident in front of him. Now he's looking like he could make good on a redemption arc, as it were, from that first incident.
So involved in that wreck, we had Prequel for Porty, Leon, Wallen, and I believe Stephen Lee was also involved in that wreck as well. Currently have 22 cars, I believe, still left on the track. or at least left running, but currently showing 18 on the lead lap.
Yeah, and the last one right now is Carlos Washington, who I do believe was involved in that incident, or at the very least he had a very long pit stop. So this was certainly the biggest incident of the night thus far. Hopefully it's the last big incident we see.
Right. Well,
tonight.
We're going to see some desperation here soon, so we'll see who's going to push the issue, probably more than they should, but we'll see. We'll see. I believe
have no doubt about
that. We will check out here. The lights are off on the pace car, I believe. So we are going green this time by. Go back up to that view from the blimp. Race First One airship. Currently high above the Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet, Illinois. Field is currently still under control of the pace car. There it goes, darting off. Field is under command of Christopher Demerit. He wastes no time. Green flag, we're back underway. It's the race to the finish, lap 61 of 75. We're less than 14 to go.
And as we said before, this is go time, folks. This is where you put it all on the table. You go for the win at this point.
Nick Sudek is already around. Nick Sudek and Nicholas Sudek and
right in turn number 3. That's Nacho LDR and Bruno Miranda together. Miranda is in the wall.
Are we going to bring a yellow out? Is he going to bring a yellow out to see? Currently up against the wall there. He's going to turn down and make his way into the pits. No yellow. Keep your foot in it, boys. We are still green. I was getting ready to say Nicholas Sudek made his way around Thomas Geisler there on the restart. He has already moved himself up to P5, and he is zeroing in on this lead group. And I think Pablo Diaz-Francis might have a problem.
Maybe so. He is dropping back a little bit. They're actually going 3 wide to get around them. He might have some damage on that number 2 machine.
No, there it gets getting loose off the corner.
Around, just as I say it.
No, don't come back up. Don't come back up. Don't come back up. Don't come back up. And we are yellow. But, man, that could have been a whole lot worse. Oh, my goodness.
That was a scary moment for everybody involved in that. Pablo Diaz-Francis with a good save. As we said before, this once again is desperation time. We knew we were going to be in for an exciting finish, but
so yeah, there we go. This is where at the point we identified Pablo might have had an issue. Guys are making their way around him. They're about 3 wide, not quite 3 wide, going through the corner there. Looks like he started to come up. I think car got loose on its own. Man, just all those other cars escaped at a high side. So close, so close, so close. But that's going to give him a chance to hit pit road, get new tires, and maybe some repairs. Let's see what happens, and let's see if he has enough time to make a last-minute run back up to the front, because he is among the points leaders in the Division 1 currently of the fixed IndyCar Series. So we are back under caution here. And I believe your leaders are just going to stay out.
Yeah, I mean, we barely got any running on these tires. There's little sense to come in once again, and especially where track position is very much valuable. Everyone wants to maintain the position they're in the hopes of getting back up there later, as Pablo Diaz-Francis does come on to pit road. A tough night for him thus far for the winner on last Monday's broadcast. So it's not looking, and that is definitely not what he wants in this championship battle for the Division 1 title.
Currently riding along with Nacho LDR right there, running in P2. We're riding along with Chris Demerit. He is trying to burn off some fuel. So explain what they're kind of doing right there when you hear the cars kind of hitting that, pegging that rev limiter, what they're trying to do here under caution. What are they trying to do?
This is a pretty common technique you see in the IndyCar Series to burn off fuel. When you know that you have more than enough fuel to make it to the checkers, you'll see a lot of drivers. What they'll do is they'll put in the clutch, put in the clutch, rev the snot out of the engine to burn off as much fuel as possible while they're coasting behind the pace car. They'll try and lighten the load a little bit, And yes, people actually do take that as a means of gaining an advantage there. Every 1,000th of a second matters in this series, and that's what they're trying to gain. Every potential thousandth by doing this, as we hear Demerit revving up that 2.2 liter V6 once again to try and get as much fuel as he needs to get to the end, but only just.
That's all you need. Now, the downside of this is it's going to cause the engine temperature to go up, and that can hurt, especially with the last big IR18 update in December. That starts to hurt the engine and hurt engine performance at that point, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. I've actually recalled one time where I was in a qualifying practice for the Lionheart IndyCar Series. I was trying to get as much fuel as I possibly could out of the car before I went off on my 2 laps, and it got into the red engine warning once I got down that low. Coast out of the pit lane, and the engine goes kaboom on me. So if you're not careful, you will blow the motor if you overdo it, because you're not getting that as much airflow going into the engine for cooling as you would going at top speed.
Still riding along the roll bar here of Christopher Demerit. You see the aero screen. It's a new addition here the last couple years of IndyCar, preventing debris and any type of foreign objects to enter the cockpit and get to the driver's head. They're kind of really like fighter jets nowadays. I mean, you got a steering wheel that looks like a yoke. You have basically levers and sticks that you pull that act as basically your flaps and your brakes and air brakes and whatnot. And then you got this whole cockpit surrounding you, a cockpit canopy surrounding you now. It's just like Top Gun.
Very much is, and the combat we have is pretty much as intense as Top Gun, except of course there's not as much a chance of a fatality as you would get in a dogfight over the desert, as it were. But it's still going to be a dogfight for the remaining, for the remaining 7 laps of this race. We are in for an exciting finish, a dogfight in the plains of Illinois. This is going to be, I guarantee you folks, this is going to be one heck of a finish. Christopher Demerit leading the way as we wait for the pace car to dive on the pit road. Yes, he does. And holding behind him, he's stacking him up.
Yeah, he stacked him up, and he took his time on that one. Fox 1, we're back under green here as got 8 laps to go, and he's got himself a little bit of a lead, but that's just going to help the Nacho LDR get back in the draft and get right back up there. There's no such thing as a big lead here at Chicagoland.
Certainly not. And as much of an advantage as you can get, I'm sure he wanted that, but it's still going to be a pack as Nacho LDR, Victor Santos, Nicholas Sudik, and Tony Pizarro, your top 5. As we get ready to once again go into pack formation once again. Santos looking to the high line, trying to get by Nacho LDR, doesn't quite make it work. And Nicholas
Sudik almost into the right rear of Nacho LDR there. Arrow push, managed to pray to hold on there, but he's looking at that inside line. He wants to get right down there, and I bet he's going to. I bet we're going to see someone use that apron coming to the checkered flag. But also a shout out to we got Nick Neben, who's back up there, who's caused the first yellow of the day. He's back and he's recovered. Well, we got Matthew Mercer up there. We have Dakota DeMay back up there. So everybody that kind of was showing patience. Victor Santos almost it's a slide job in front of Pizarro.
3 wide coming off of turn number 4. Neben and Pizarro. Neben now up to 4th position. What a recovery drive on that number 9 machine. And now he looks to the outside of Sudik for 3rd.
Sudik is having a hard time keeping that car right down there on the white line, trying to stay in that number 1 lane, which is the shortest way around. And what that's going to do is going to bring the car right up next to Nacho LDR. Neben almost into the back end of Nacho LDR. Got to be careful here, boys. We also got to consider. There we go. There we go. And I was getting ready. Getting ready to say we got to take under consideration net code, and that's exactly what happened. Folks, this race is over. Christopher Demeritte wins it with a massive caution, a massive wreck coming into turns 1 and 2 out of the tri-oval with looks like Nick Neben and involving Nacho LDR. Also, we have I think we have Hassan also involved in that. Let's go back a little bit further here in time.
Well.
Pizarro, yeah, he kind of just had no place to go. Let's see if we can get a better camera angle here. Here we go. Yep.
It's the invisible menace of sim racing that is netcode that caused that one. You saw that it looked that Neben went physically ghosted through Nacho LDR's car. And as soon as I saw that, I knew it was not going to end well for anybody involved. It's that moment where connection issues, of course, we're playing on an online server. Connection issues are, of course, a thing depending on the kind of connection and the circumstances you got. So it's the invisible menace when it comes to sim racers.
So with 3 laps to go, that is pretty much going to decide the race. Christopher Demeritte, who managed to just kind of outlast his competition up at the front, is going to put this one away after just a couple more laps here. Victor Santos, he went up 8 positions. He's going to finish second. And Nicholas Sudik making his first appearance in the top split Monday Night Fixed broadcast. My pal from the Velocity Online Racing Series. Looks like he's going to finish on the 3rd step of the podium. Pretty much right where he finished. He's up 1 spot. Your big gainer, though, is P4, Matthew Mercer, up 18. Just managed to surely by slowly, work his way back up to the front, and has got himself a nice, solid top 5 to show for it. And speaking of a top 5, and we're probably going to get him in the interview booth, and he's probably going to be very happy, is Dakota DeMaid, who's also worked his way up to the top 5, up 8 spots. This is going to be his, I believe this is his best top split finish of this season, I believe. So he is going to be extremely happy. And of course, that's all going to help your iRating and safety rating and everything. So it's like a payday for these guys.
It certainly does seem that way. And another guy I personally want to give a shout out to, one of my buddies from the Lionheart series, position number 6, the number 4 machine of AJ Musselman. He started off well. He had a little bit of a struggle in the middle of the race, but now he's coming home with a 6th place finish. Very solid night for him.
AJ, bit of a oval meister. Of course, you can't be an oval meister unless your name is AJ. But right behind him, Pablo Diaz-Francis manages to recover from whatever issues he experienced just shy of about 15 laps ago. He's going to finish 7th. Trace Shadid looks like he's going to come home 8th. Carlos Ruiz, P9, he's up 5 spots, and rounding out the top 10 is Daniel Raffaello, up 10 spots, taking that 10th P10 position.
And even though it's a good win for Christopher Demeritte, I still am thinking, what would have happened if we didn't have that incident? What kind of finish would we have in store? It wouldn't shock me if we get a finish reminiscent of the glory days of Chicagoland Speedway and open wheelers when the Indy Racing League raced here. The racing was just that close and that intense. But working their way through turn 3 and 4, Christopher Demeritte, he certainly has outlasted them all tonight. Once again, He did very well on Monday night's broadcast at Charlotte Motor Speedway. He wasn't quite able to get the win there. That one went to Pablo Diaz-Francis, who unfortunately was caught up in an incident earlier on. But Demeritte, very strong performance overall, and he comes home with a victory at Chicagoland Speedway.
That's going to help his standing in the Division 1 standings, currently in P7. So he's looking to make up some ground on those guys in front of him. And one of which he will, and because of what was going on the racetrack. Pablo Diaz-Francis with P2 in the Division 1 standings. Looks like Demeritte is going to make up some ground on him. So let's go ahead and let's get you the final results from today's race here at Chicagoland. There is your race classification for tonight's race. Your podium, Christopher Demeritte, Victor Santos, and Nicholas Sudik. Your top 5 is Matthew Mercer and Dakota DeMaid. Your top 10 is AJ Musselman, Pablo Diaz-Francis, Trace Shadid, Carlos Ruiz, and Daniel Raffaello. Your top 15 is Cloud Lessard, Carlos Washington, Christian Asan, Guillermo Prequel, and Nacho LDR. Followed by Nick Neben, Gabriel Ammer, Tony Pizarro. He was up there all day today. That's a tough run for him. Nick Neben also with the great recovery. Tough finish for him. Thomas Geisler, 19th. Gonzalo Rodriguez, Leon T20. The remainder of your field is Bruno Miranda, who was up with the leaders all day in 21st. Jim Wallen, Adriano Fraporti was up with the leaders in 22nd. Stephen Lee, 24th. And C.P. Allen, 25th. Let's take a look and see if we have anybody. Yes, we do. And we're going to pull them up here. We have P3, Nicholas Sudik. Hey, Nicholas, we got you in the boost, man. 1 for 1, top split, Monday top split race, and 1 podium. Can't start better than that. Well, I guess you could have got the win, right?
Yeah, you know what? It just feels good. I'm gonna not lie. I've been so busy this weekend, and yesterday, I had another gaming event that I was dealing with over the weekend, and we got a dog earlier in the week. We got a brand new puppy here in my house, so I've been a little busy. Yeah. But no, it feels great. I was not expecting to do well. I am absolutely terrible at pack racing. So I just really was trying to be patient, and Gary can attest to this too a bit from our league experience together. I'm really good on the high line, so as the high line kept getting in more and more, I just felt more and more comfortable during the race. So yeah, it's awesome. I am pleasantly surprised, to say the least.
Well, we kind of saw you towards the end there. That bottom line kind of opened up, and I think you were trying to kind of follow suit, get underneath Nacho there, and try to get the position on him, but the car just wasn't sticking down in the bottom there in turns 1 and 2. Almost washed up into Nacho and his right and his actually left rear on the exit or midway through turns 2. Can you recall that moment? And did it look as close as we thought it was?
It was probably closer because I definitely got a netcode 0x on my feed, and I was like. But we weren't that close. Like, we weren't that close in car. Like, if I remember correctly, I think I was, like, partially on the apron. Because I was, like, everybody was squeezing everybody at that point. And I was like, all right, I got fresh tires. Everybody else is on old tires. I gotta make my move. So I set my weight jacker up to, like, God, like, +7, +8. Like, during that, like, last little bit of the run. But, yeah, it was just so close. And then at that point, I was like, all right, chill out, let the tires cool down a little bit, stay with the group. But there were a lot of scary moments for everybody. Like, early on, I had to check up. I almost hit Musselman with I think Victor was right behind me, and I had to check up, and it surprised him. So, yeah, it's pack racing in an IR18. Like, it's a lot of... it's the closest you're going to get to stock cars with these, like, honestly.
How much of a no-brainer decision was it to go ahead and grab that last set of tires in the pits and decide to make a run there from I think you started from P6?
AJ and I were on Discord together, and immediately as soon as the caution came up, I'm like, you got to take tires here. They're gonna be like 80% or less. It was the same length as the run before, and then as soon as I saw everybody go up, I'm like. I'm gonna commit, and then everybody followed behind me, and then I was like, okay, here we go. This is the strategy race, and it ended up paying off. So, whether through incident or not, if I don't know. I guess I kind of got lucky. Like, in all honesty, it was very much a crapshoot there.
I say it's better to be lucky than good.
Yeah.
That's true.
But I personally would
ahead,
argue that it's good to have both.
Yeah, I think today was probably a both kind of day.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that.
Next week, we're looking at a very similar type of racing on a slightly larger track at Fontana. Will we see you taking part of the Top Split Monday race next week? And your thoughts on going to that track? I know that you're pretty decent there.
If for some reason I am not at work, absolutely. However, my work schedule kind of makes me not be able to make many of the SOF races. So this is a treat, and it's good to do it for the viewers. They're sitting on their computers and their tablets and waiting to get in their rigs next. And I'll be back though. Trust me. I'll let y'all know. Trust me. I'll be around.
All right, before we let you go, anybody you want to shout out to or say hi to while we got you here in the booth?
Big shout out to everybody in the VOR League. Give a big shout out to Julian and yourself, Gary, and everybody else who helps organize that. AJ, who I ran with, Nick DeGroot, Dylan Moskowitz, all the rest of the Turn 4 crew, because I know y'all gotta keep going. And thank you all for hosting this and getting this together. This is fantastic. So appreciate y'all.
Well, there you have it. Nick Sudik, 1 for 1, 1 podium, 1 race in the top split. So if anything, he finishes, doesn't show up for any more top splits. He finishes with a 1,000 record. So congratulations. Hopefully we'll see you next week, but I'm sure we'll see you in a future race regardless.
Take care, y'all.
Take care. Let's bring up P5, Dakota the Maid here. P5, Dakota the Maid. Dakota, I know you got to be absolutely thrilled because at one point your car was back in 18th.
No, P3. Put my name on third. I got absolutely Paul Tracy at that finish. I know my car was ahead when the yellow came out, but I guess I had to give those 2 spots back, so it is what it is. But yeah, I'm happy with 5th. I kind of got checked up there a bit in the middle of the race, and I did fall back to, I guess, 18th, so I'm happy to work my way back up to the field. So that was a lot of fun, a lot of chaos. It was one of the most kind of anxious, frustrating races I think we've had this season, because you're just waiting for the big one to come at some point. And it certainly did. Two times or so. So I got lucky to avoid those.
Was that high line ever going to come in?
The high line was always in. The low line never really came in, except on the first 2 laps or so. But after that, you just had to stay on the high line to keep the position in the pack. So
yeah,
maybe it was a bit different up front. I wish I could have run up front longer to see what it felt like. But I'll take it. I'll take 5th.
Well, P5, is that your highest finish in the Monday Strength of Field race?
I got 3rd in the first week.
Okay.
Yes.
3rd. Okay, so you got the podium. Okay, so 2 top 5s in the Monday Strength of Field race. That's good. Moving on to Fontana. We know you're good there. What are your thoughts on Fontana next week here at the 2-mile oval?
I don't think I'm that good at Fontana.
There's a win. There's a win in the Reddit IndyCar League that says otherwise.
I know there's that, but that was kind of a fuel strategy, shenanigans kind of going on there. But when it comes to and fixed races, never really come to fuel races usually. So I kind of struggle there in the pack. But I've had a lot of experience there recently, so hopefully that comes in handy, and hopefully I can get a decent finish out of it.
Hopefully so. And and it's the ones that are most humble about the tracks that tend to get the unexpectedly good results, it seems. So maybe that's maybe being humble about your performance at Fontana will bode well for you.
Keep your expectations low, and you won't get disappointed.
See, just with that, he's going to win the race.
Early predictions have been made. Make sure you go to Vegas now. All right, well, with that said, great race on your part. We might have to go back and review that, see exactly when that yellow came out and where you might have been, because it did look close, but also it's just really hard to tell with everything going on. I'm imagining that you were doing a great deal of dodging in the moment, too. So way to work your way through that, way to get a top 5, second top 5 of the season. Anybody you want to say hi to, shout out to while we have you here?
Shout out to Sunset Arctic Games. That's my company and my sponsor. You can check me out on Twitter at Sunset Arctic. Echo Blade coming out soon. Photic Pistol on Steam right now. You can go check those out on Steam. Play those games that I've made and developed. And You can also check me out at sunarc_graphics on Twitter. I paint cars. I have currently the top trending trading paint right now for the IR18 on trading paints. So I'm proud of that at the moment.
Is that the white Red Bull?
Yep, it's the white Red Bull.
It is very sexy. It is very sexy.
Yeah. Thank you. So reach out to me if you guys need any custom liveries or paints or any other league graphics. So yeah, and shout out to Lucas and Alyssa because I know they're watching.
Well, there you have it. We will see you next week at the top split race at Fontana. Have yourself a great week, and I'm sure we'll talk later.
Thank you. See you, Gary. Thank you, Steven.
All right. Wow, man. That we got AJ there. Do we want to bring AJ up?
Yeah, if you think you got the time for it.
All right, sure. We're gonna bring AJ up. We're gonna bring AJ. Hey, AJ, we saw you down there. We thought we'd bring you up. Top 6 for you. At one point, you were down in 19th, I believe, and you recovered to work your way back up. Tell us about your day. It looked like you were just in the middle of it all race long.
Good evening, guys. Yeah, that was something. I was not expecting a pack race whatsoever. So about 5 laps in, when we weren't spreading out, I was like, oh, man.
Well, we saw that the track temperature started at 92 and stayed at 92, and that kind of threw us off because we were, much like you, expecting the track temperature to start at 92 and then slowly work up to 95 and just be shy of 100 at the end, and maybe a little bit of a pack race or maybe a little bit of a stretch out of a field would occur, but it just never occurred. How'd that affect your strategy then?
Yeah, so when the race started, my plan was just to stay up, towards the front and hopefully bring home a top 3 or top 5. And about 5 laps in, I realized it wasn't going to be that kind of race, and I just wanted to live. I've had a rough few weeks when it comes to races, so I just kind of parked it on the outside, and then I parked it on the inside wherever people weren't. Had a situation about halfway through the race where Dakota got a little squirrely on the apron, and I had to take evasive action to avoid him, and that dropped me from like 14th to 19th. So I was really thankful for the yellows towards the end of the race, because restarts are my thing. So I was able to make up the ground that I lost and get a nice finish out of it.
While we got you here, anybody that you want to shout out, say hi to while we got you in the booth?
Of course, all my race first people. Hi guys, and my Turn 4 racing gang as well. Looking forward to the rest of the season.
Before we let you go, thoughts on next week? I know Fontana is a favorite of yours.
Yeah, it definitely is. Looking forward to it. Normally I'm against pack racing. It's not my thing, but Michigan and Auto Club, wide open spaces, definitely one of my favorites. Looking forward to some good close racing, 3 wide, and hopefully some tire wear as well. There was not a lot of tire wear tonight with this setup. It was pretty consistent throughout the run, so hopefully we get some tire wear next week.
Well, there you have it. P6 tonight, AJ Musselman. Congrats, and we will see you next week at Fontana.
Yeah, see you guys. Have a good one.
All right. We got no one else waiting right now. Looks like Christopher Demerit or Victor not making it in. They're probably celebrating a little bit, maybe counting their blessings to make it through that last incident occurring there in turns 1 and 2. Steven, closing thoughts on the night and opening thoughts going into next week at Fontana.
Well, it certainly looks at the dichotomy between different 1.5-mile tracks. You had the race last week at Charlotte where tire wear was certainly a major factor, and the race was starting to get very spread out. Whereas we have a Chicagoland, same length, bit different banking layouts, but that made all the difference, as well as the different temperatures that we were running in, and it really led to a great pack race. Unfortunately, we didn't quite get the photo finish that a lot of us were probably hoping for, but it was still fantastic racing all throughout the field. It was a really good show tonight. And it says to me that Auto Club Speedway next week, a track where, as AJ mentioned before, you do expect to have a bit more tire wear there. Of course, the track is very bumpy. It's an old surface. They haven't repaved that track since it was first paved in the 90s, and I'm not even kidding about that. So that's very much going to be a case where, yes, you are going to have a lot of more room to work with, but are you going to have the tires to work with it? It's going to be quite a different ball game than Chicagoland. You go to 3 different tracks, you get 3 different shows. All of them, I think, are going to be pretty good.
All right, well, there you have it. Let's go ahead and call it out. So that's it for tonight. Once again, your podium from Chicagoland Speedway is Christopher Barrett, your winner, Victor Santos, P2, and Nicholas Sudik, P3. Join us next week as the series moves on to the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana for round 6 of the Monday Night Indy Split. Now, please do leave a comment below and let us know what you thought of tonight's race. Like, share, and subscribe. And while you're at it, hit the bell for weekly reminders of other Race First iRacing programming, such as the PRI Formula Indy Series on Tuesdays and the BMW Car Club of America Sim Racing Series on Thursdays. And starting soon, on December 1st, it's the Reddit IndyCar League as it returns now as the Revolution IndyCar League for Season 4 of the Schaefer IndyCar Series. To learn more about Race First and what we do, visit racefirst.com or follow us on Twitter. You can follow me, Gary Gazzo, on Twitter at Gary Gazzo. Thanks everyone who took time to watch. Be sure to join myself and Steven again next week, same bat time, bat channel, and that's Monday, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube at youtube.com/racefirst. So for Steven Larkamp and everyone at Race First, I am Gary Gazzo saying it all. Stay happy and healthy. And to all of our men and women serving in the military and as first responders, Godspeed, God bless, and come home safe. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time for the next race of Monday Night Split. Good night.